Support comes from ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With ServiceNow AI Platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents. I asked you guys yesterday if you had thought that this was Carlos's best tournament. He said it was in his press conference. Pretty hard to argue. Lost one set. As you're looking at the score lines too, breaking Sinner twice in a set, first set, third, like that's not something that's happening at all now. Like Sinner didn't serve well during the US Open. I think that's probably the biggest thing they're going to say, okay, how do we course correct? Obviously, Alcaraz was on our serve and these adjustments to mini adjustments, but like I'm having a hard time not being hyperbolic about the level of Alcaraz, JW.
Yeah, and I think it's telling that he is having a hard time not being hyperbolic. I spoke to him on the court like half an hour after the match, and he just sort of unbidden basically said, yeah, this is probably the best of the 6 majors I've won. I've played the best here. One break point he faced in that final, it was ironically converted, but the serving was off the charts. You know what stat jumped out at me, by the way? 242 for a major final that went 4 sets. I mean, even when he lost that second set, it was not a real sense of, oh boy, Sinner's going to make this. Here we go. We got a classic on our hands. It was more like, oh, I see. Let's see if Carlos can get it back. And he quickly did, broke in the third, and just 242 for a rivalry match, given what happened, especially in Paris. I just thought that was really a comprehensive match to cap off a comprehensive tournament. I don't know. I mean, Sinner was sort of, to his credit, Sinner's like, woof. Yeah, this is the guy who, bear in mind, won the last major. He was number one 24 hours ago. He's won whatever it is, 27 of the last 28 matches played on hard courts at majors. And after the match, he's like, ooh, we got to go back to the drawing board because my best isn't going to get it done against this guy.
Something that Carlos, I was thinking about it last night, something that he did in the final yesterday, which you see people do things and you wonder if it like changes shit forever. Like you see Becker when he comes along and he's serving, you see like the T2000 and it's like, okay, this is going to be different. You see Rafa and the spin and you see Roger being able to control a one-handed return and, chip it off of, any speed. And there are all these little things. It's funny you mentioned like the adjustments made and, apparently Carlos said he went into like a 2-week training block where it was basically Sinner-centric and what we had to do. JW, he was coming in off balls that weren't approach shots. So normally when you're playing, you bleed someone, short ball comes, and then there's like a natural transition shot where you go to the net, right? And that's when you approach. And so it normally, the reason in like kind of the sober thinking is Jannik Sinner hits it so big, where am I going to find space to take that on and try to get to the net, right? Carlos Alcaraz kind of flipped it. Like, I don't know that I had seen it. We've obviously seen people sneak in, but I think his speed is different than anyone else we've seen. I think his ability to inject pace off of, hit one chip and then inject pace really quickly off the next one, all in real time with like no decision to be made. He would inject pace to a corner as soon as he saw kind of the side or back of Sinner's front shoulder. He was just, screw it, I'm in. I'm like sprinting forward. And even if he gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar, he's such a great volleyer. And I'm just saying, like, his volleying over the last 2 or 3 years it has become more than elite. And you don't, again, I'm fighting being hyperbolic, but the stuff that he's able to come up with. So even if he gets caught and has a bad read on if the guy's bled out enough, right? If he's extended enough, can he poke a passing shot? He'll pick it up off his shoe tops and he still has a 50-50 shot of fighting it off just with athleticism. This changes a lot of things. It's not like a chip and charge where it's like a scripted play. It's not like, okay, earn your approach shot, take your approach shot, which is like the basis of every 2-on-1 that's ever been done in training. This is like, I'll hit a short chip. He comes. I already know on the next one, I'm just going to inject pace deep and I am flying in, like speed with which we haven't seen before. And I'm either going to get a look at a volley and I can do it. Or if I get caught, there's half a chance that I can pull off something miraculous off of my shoe tops. It's not a standard way to come into the net. It's like a bulldozer, but you need so many skills working at the same time with this burst of speed to make it happen. And that's your 2:42 timeline, right? The fact that he's able to take it and shorten the points off of Sinner's pace, kind of whenever he chose, whenever he saw half of a chance, that's your 2:42 versus 5:45 right there, JW.
What you're describing, and then add 2 words. Let's just reinforce this against Sinner.
That's it. That's the whole
thing.
He
is coming in. I mean, it's just, and the other thing too was he was hanging in the rallies as well. It wasn't as though he had to take these crazy chances and up his risk profile. He was hanging in the baseline rallies as well. Again, I really read a lot into Sinner's reaction. I mean, sometimes you say, well, too good, Roger, and here's my runner-up trophy. Sinner was kind of sort of in awe. I mean, it wasn't dour, but he was just sort of dumbfounded and basically was like, shit, I got to come up with something because I was comprehensively outplayed. Again, the guy who was ranked number 1 24 hours ago is left to sort of say, boy, we got to go back to the drawing board. But that's great. This is what Rivalry does, right? I mean, it's you elevate your game, and we are very fortunate to be in the place we are.
And the adjustments mid-match from both of them were pretty intriguing to me, right? We saw Alcaraz, he was hitting that short, like Federer-esque slice cross court. Dimitrov was using that play against Sinner with some success at Wimbledon. And then he would kind of hit this fadeaway backhand. So he was just like, when you have to, his fastball is 99 and his changeup is 85, and then he can throw a curve. Like, it's just, you don't know, you're almost like, it causes almost like a stutter of a decision when you have to like actually go up against it. And he was kind of hitting that little fadeaway backhand up in the zone to Sinner, and Sinner was kind of like searching for it in the first set. Sinner all of a sudden said, as soon as I see him lean back, I'm going to try to gain 1 or 2 feet. That started working the second set. And then Carlos started flipping it with coming in. It's like once he solved one problem, it's like, okay, screw it. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to kind of pound the corners and break your rhythm again. Like it was all these mid-match adjustments, but it felt like Carlos had so much clarity about this 2-week training block, whatever him and Ferrero are talking about. They had plans to plans to plans. Mike, you have some sound?
Yeah, so speaking of Juan Carlos and Alcaraz, they in the post game they had this to say.
How would you describe what you saw in Carlos's performance today?
It's difficult to say. I think we prepared the match very good, watching some matches and see the specific details we have to play. And Carlos did it 100%. It's easy to say and very difficult to do it. The performance today was perfect. I will say that the match was perfect for Carlos and the performance was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's right. I think I played perfect. I played perfectly. So I mean, I gotta say that if I want to win, the US Open, if I want to beat Jannik, I have to play perfect, and I think he was right.
Yeah, the press conferences for coaches thing, I can get with that.
I love it.
That is something that I want to hear more of. Also, slowly Carlos has just started calling Jannik Johnny, which I also love. The Carlos's line about we're seeing each other a lot. I see you more than I see my family now. It seems like they have a nice camaraderie, but it's just fun because they're in the middle of it. Both are obsessed with greatness. Both are obsessed with improvement. Both know the challenge that the other one presents, and totally different thing, right? Jannik better than Carlos for most of the French Open final. Carlos is like, all right, let's get to grass. It's a surface I'm more comfortable on. Jannik puts it on him in the Wimbledon final. Kind of exercises the mental demons from Roland Garros. This thing ain't stopping. There's going to be this thing is just going to go back and forth. Curious to see what, and you also have, this is not a small part of it, the coaches behind these players that are driving the decisions and having the sounding board of a former world number 1 and Juan Carlos Ferrero, and then Darren Cahill is one of the best coaches of all time. Like, this is fascinating stuff. The players who have the ability to say, okay, Juan Carlos Ferrero is going to tell him stuff that he could never do. And I say that respectfully. I respect everyone who's gotten to where Juan Carlos got. But okay, let's just like make approach shots out of nothing and sprint your ass forward because you're like as fast as Russell Westbrook.
It's like he gets to play like the ultimate like video game character.
Totally.
Because he's like,
Like,
oh
how
yeah,
mu-
won't you try that?
Right.
Then he does it.
How much fun is that? It's like, I couldn't do this, but fuck it. I got someone who can. This is great. What do you think, JW?
Can we? Are you with me on this too? I find myself really coming around on coaching. I used to be pretty opposed, and it's one-on-one, and let the players. Problem solving is so key. I think this really adds an element, and I don't think Juan Carlos Ferrero is ruining the experience by suggesting where to serve. But you hear analysis like that. It's also, I mean, just kind of take a step back here and. You know, with the Roland Garros final is one of the great matches of this century. At Wimbledon, Jannik takes down the defending champion. At the U.S. Open, Carlos takes down the defending champion. I mean, you were talking to players, legends during this tournament, who the day before the tournament couldn't figure out who they favored in the final. This is really razor thin margins. You among them, right?
So I liked Sinner the entire way. Obviously, we did our bracket challenge, and that was a dumpster fire. We're going to announce to all you guys who are way better than JW and I.
We're learning.
Yeah,
we're not losing.
I
We're learning.
I was Sinner, and then after FAA, I hate switching mid-tournament. After FAA, I had real concerns about his first serve percentage. Like that was a huge thing. And we did, I did the road show with Tracy where we're going in, and people were like, "What's your prediction?" I'm like, and my line was, "You're asking me to predict a coin flip with confidence." Like that, we're just guessing. Like there's no, I knew. Like that's disrespectful to someone. Like that's disrespectful to one of the best players in the world. I just knew it. It's like, no, you fucking guessed and you got it right. Like, give me a break. But I didn't see that. I didn't see one-way traffic. I didn't see it in the Wimbledon final. I didn't see it here. It's just amazing to see. And to your point yesterday from our airport show, it's like, the margin for error with these two when they're playing each other is so razor thin. It's like you're taking. I was talking to Trey. You're taking like half chances, right? Like I know that I have to go when I see Jannik in any defense, and I have to take my shot, even if it's a little reckless or irresponsible. Jannik, the last game. I mean, Carlos, the game that he played to finish this match off. Jannik was hitting the ball harder than maybe anyone I've ever seen. I mean, the first point, he was like, let's empty the canister. He was roping the ball. And Carlos just stayed there and then got back to deuce and hit, monster serve on match point. Like these things are hard. They make it look easy. They're so hard.
Let me ask you a non-X's and O's question. Sometimes we are lucky enough to get the winner of these big tournaments on the podcast, and Carlos is we gather headed back to Europe. Despite this Davis Cup announcement, we can talk about it anyway. Go back. What is it? Go back 22 years. Man, your title's like old enough to get married. But go back 22 years. What is this day like? You empty the bucket. You win this major. Granted, Carlos hasn't done it for this is number 6, but what is the Monday like after you've expended everything and been successful? What's this experience like the day after winning a major?
Different because Carlos is already one of the biggest sports stars in the world. So I don't know that like doing Conan is going to matter for him really. Like I don't know that there's really not much else to be done. It's not like he can have more endorsements or really like more well liked or like smile more. It's just. It kind of is. So mine was very different. Mine was first up, I forget what exactly I did that day. I remember I remember leaving the party for the US Open, which was also, de facto 21st birthday party, because I was like, I just want some quiet. And I ended up just like kind of Irish goodbying my own thing. Woke up early, did the entire car wash, did back like TRL was the thing. I remember like being
on
in
MTV.
I remember being on Times.
And we're dating ourselves.
It's like yeah, exactly. This is like every person my age is gonna go, dude, this is cool. I'm like in Times Square doing something for someone, Associated Press. Who knows? I don't know what it was. Just a car wash of a day. Carson Daly riding down through Times Square going, yeah, man. Like, I don't know. It was just a weird thing. But mine was probably a little bit more necessary if you wanted to squeeze the juice out of the PR. I had a clothing deal expiring in a year and a half. So like those are all things that you're thinking about in that moment. It's like, okay, can we squeeze you're basically using that day. PR is basically an avenue towards money, if we're being honest about it. And so I squeezed a lot of juice that day. But that was it. Carlos, from our understanding, we asked, and he was so gracious. He said, today's show, and I'm getting on a plane. I'm done, finished. He doesn't need to do anything. Like, he doesn't need to improve the way the public views him. Everyone loves him. He doesn't need to be more famous. Everyone knows him. He doesn't need to train a media narrative. Like, he just is who he is, and the charisma like jumps out of his body. So very, very different scenarios. My car wash was a lot different than anything that Carlos Alcaraz, having won 6 slams by 22 years old, needed.
I just can't imagine. We're all exhausted after this, after these 3 weeks, happily exhausted. But I can't imagine I won 0 sets and I'm ready to take the week off. I can't imagine winning the title, having all that emotion, staying up late, you're celebrating, and then 4 hours sleep. You got to go replay the match.
Less so than the day, because you can get through a 10-hour day of stuff, right? It's the Davis Cup, Laver Cup, number 1. It's going to be the fallout of the next 3 months, right? And Carlos, you can't say anything negative, but it's always looked different at the end of the year, kind of getting to the finish line, the indoor circuit. He hasn't played well in World Tour finals. It's hard. I was someone who prided myself on showing up in my lunch pail every day and actually going to work. I struggled. I still tried my best, but it wasn't like I woke up, and jumped out of bed to finish out the year in, stadiums where you're underground, you're traveling somewhere you want. There's no major for 4 months. You're not building towards something. You're just trying to kind of pick up scraps along the way till the end of the year. The number 1 thing is going to make a big difference. That's going to be a thing. But yeah, that was my crash, was securing number 1. And then it was I'm toast. I was still in Masters Cup, but it was I got to that number 1 spot, and I just I felt like I was a zombie. And so the next 3 months is the concern for Carlos Alcaraz, not 6 hours of firing off a smile today. He's good at that.
Yeah, he only leads number 1 by some 800 points, right? It's not like he has a massive lead on it.
Deceiving a little bit, just because Sinner won World Tour finals. Those are coming off. He won on the trot. So the reason it flips so quickly here at the US Open, obviously, for those who kind of need the quick explainer, it's a 52-week ranking system. Sinner wins last year. He can't gain a point going into the US Open this year on ranking, because all he can do is defend a win. Carlos lost second round. There's close to 2,000 points available, to 2,900, 2,850, whatever it is. Or sorry, 1,850, whatever it is. So a little deceiving. He's only ahead by 800, but if you kind of look at points available, he's got a pretty good shot at the basket. And also, needs to be said, Sinner didn't play for 3 months. That's a significant factor in this race for number 1. But Sinner has a lot more points that he has to defend than Carlos to the end of the year.
We talked a lot about Carlos's mentality coming out of this. I want to talk about Sinner's and hear your guys' thought on that. And we have this bite from his post-game press conference.
I didn't make one serve volley, I didn't use a lot of drop shots. And then you arrive to a point where you play against Carlos where you have to go out of the comfort zone, So I'm gonna, aim to, maybe even losing some matches from now on, but trying to do some changes, trying to be a bit more unpredictable as a player, and because I think that's what I have to do, trying to become a better tennis player.
Reactions to that.
It's awesome.
The dude's breaking down his own game and saying he needs to add more layers.
I'm just the level of self-awareness,
it's unreal.
Right after a match is absurd. Getting to that level of self-awareness when you're, I guess, 1, 2, and you've been 1, and you've won 4 majors in the last 2 years. Not a lot of people would think, this is what I have to do to change things.
Might lose some matches figuring it out.
He's not wrong. He's not. Carlos essentially said the same thing. He ended up, Rip City and did well, but Yeah, I mean, these guys are so like, it's not different than if you haven't listened to the Cahill interview that we did on the show where he talks about the mentality of Sinner. This is it. Darren wasn't lying to us. This is it.
When we talk about the rivalry being the rocket booster of sports, I mean, Carlos takes a 2-week break and basically focuses solely on how do I execute this takedown of the guy ahead of me. And you notice that Sinner wasn't really talking about his game, Matt. He was just sort of in respect to Carlos. What do I have to do to crack this riddle? Again, this is a guy who played in the finals of all 4 majors and won 2 of them, and yet he's reassessing. This is the multiplier effect. This is the beauty of rivalry right here. But yeah, what you get the feeling he sort of knew what was going on during the match. If you saw him afterwards, he wasn't despondent. He was already thinking, boy, I got to replay that and figure out what to do. You get the feeling he read the stat sheet in between the match and the press conference. And then he went in there and gave this very sensible, logical explanation of what he has to do.
I weirdly, it was so emphatic of a victory. It was such an emphatic victory for Carlos. It's sometimes almost easier to deal with. Like I lost a straight sets in a Grand Slam final against Roger at 05 Wimbledon, and I walk off. It's like, okay, I'm disappointed, but I don't think it was like a decision I made that was tortuous on a break point. It's like the guy ran me out of the room. Like, and I'm not comparing myself to Jannik or Carlos at all, but I'm just saying certain losses where someone comes out and just beats the shit out of you, like you have to wonder. It's like, oh, okay, well, we got to work. Like this wasn't close. It's not as if I have to tweak, right? Which is where I'd be if I was Jannik, but this is why he's him and I'm a fucking podcaster. Like, he has to get the serve was as bad as it's been probably in a year since they made the adjustment and it massively improved, but something wasn't quite right with the serve. That's number one. He says serve and volley. Tough to serve and volley when you're making 40-something% of your first serves. Like that's a tough one. Like it's tough to commit and adjust and do all that. Maybe show it early in counts. Right, not wait till, like Carlos did a great job of being proactive with strategy, not playing his base, and which I think was kind of what Jannik was alluding to. He kind of went out there with his stock game, and obviously you apply your stock game to, I can't even say deficiencies of your opponent because these guys don't have any, but apply what you do well to your deficiencies, and then you have this kind of like, okay, if I have to get extreme with adjustments, Carlos almost came out in the extreme. Right? As I'm going to slice, I'm going to play up, I'm going to play like there was no kind of rhythm making for Jannik. When Jannik gets into where he can click, 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 he becomes a robot. It's like boop, 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 boop. So he didn't let him get into that thing where he kind of knew what pitch was coming. And maybe Jannik has to be a bit of a psycho at the beginning of matches. Maybe he has to throw in 2 serve and volleys. Maybe he has to do something where Carlos is like, oh, okay, I can't just like, maybe he has to just, when someone yells at you and you just go crazy and yell louder. I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of that. Thanks to ServiceNow for their support. ServiceNow wants to help people do the fulfilling work they actually want to do. Work like hosting this podcast. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business. IT, HR, and more. So your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work for people. It's your turn. Get started at servicenow.com/AI-agents.